Got an interesting call a week or so ago. There's a property that has sold, and there's a truck on that property that needs to not be there anymore. From what I understand, it's a Dodge Dakota. So, and it's been a couple years since it's ran. Anyway, I'm gonna go get the car hauler and definitely get that multi-mount winch kit that we rigged up when we overhauled that trailer on a video on this channel, just in case. So no matter what, we can just drag it up there. Yeah, we made it, and that is for sure a Dodge Dakota. 5.2 liter EFI V8. Extended cab. Got a real nice roll-on bed liner job on the roof. That held up. Folks, we're about to have ourselves a fine one owner. Not all the tires are holding air. Walmart Never Start is almost 10 years old. A bunch of grass has grown up under here, but I don't see nests necessarily with a bunch of wires chewed up, which is normally the worst thing you can run into on one of these vice grip jobs. It has oil and it doesn't look terrible. That's good. That means it hadn't all leaked out. I can't even, oh, something moved. Kind of scared to crawl it in there. I've never really thought about bringing a weed eater to pick up a car. Can't tell if there's air in that tire or not. Air in that one. Alright. You know, these little compressors are 40 bucks on Amazon. You can get them to fit DeWalt or Milwaukee batteries. I really like it. You can set the pressure that you want it to be, and it'll air up until it reaches that pressure, and then it'll shut off on its own. Just pretty rad. Pull the trigger and let it go. Now go crank the front wheels. Ooh, this thing's cherry. Or not. Oh, gross. Gross. We got it. All right, we're gonna try this Ford. Hooked up to this Dodge. Hadn't run in 6 years. Hit it, Kenny. Oh gosh, sounds like it's slinging third dauber nests everywhere. Oh! The motor just lock itself up? Hey, hit the loud pedal a little bit. Whoa, all right. Okay, that's something. So we made it to the gas station. Like the radiator's leaking or something, smoking. We put gas in it.
Apparently it doesn't work.
So yeah, we put 10 gallons of fresh fuel in it, and while we were putting fuel in it, it quit life, so we were calling for a jump. Good thing we waited till it was 100 and something degrees to tear into this thing. So we're gonna start with what we know. We know it needed a battery, so I got one of those. The Group 27, it's an awful big battery for a small truck. We got a water pump, which we know we need, and that is this part number. Also, we know it's gonna need a belt, probably because this water pump is not in the best shape and it's causing the belt to jump and tear itself up. You would want a new belt anyway because this one's old. May have some good news on this radiator. The drain valve down there, let me get my finger out of the way, was the thing that was leaking, and it may just need a new gasket or something in it. because you can rotate it a certain point and it drains more than other times. So once all this drains out, I'm going to take a look at that. We could potentially just replace a gasket or something in there, because I don't see any coolant leak evidence anywhere else. So that'd be super handy. I was kind of excited for a little bit to see that these water pumps can come off without taking all the other accessories off around them. So that's one check mark for this above an LS. But then I saw that fitting right there and realized you got a hose tucked in. It goes up to the top of the intake somewhere, so not easy. Pro tip for this video: when you're pulling the bolts out of that water pump, go ahead and drop them in place in the new water pump so you'll know where they're going to go, because oftentimes they're going to be different lengths, as these clearly are. And then if you want to, at this point, you can kind of take a picture, and then you don't have to stress about it, because you're going to want to clean these threads up and put some new thread sealer on them before you put that shiny new water pump in place of this bad boy. Feeling pretty good about this diagnosis that it's the water pump. There's a little bit of slack there. You can see all the shavings and whatnots, probably creating a lot of rattle sound that we were hearing when that engine was running. This one doesn't tend to have those, so probably a good idea to use this one. Your new water pump will come with the gasket, it'll come with this little tube, and it will come with that O-ring in the bag with the gasket. And it should, you can put a little oil on it or something, it should drop right on in there, and then you can adjust it a little when you're going to bolt it to the bracket below that AC compressor. Your water pump gasket only really goes on one way, so you don't need to really stress about whether you got that right or wrong. Some people will put a little gasket adhesive on this, or RTV on both sides, to, you know, because they stress about whether it's going to seal properly or not. It's not a terrible idea if you're not the guy that's never ever going to have to replace this water pump again. So I don't really have an opinion one way or another. And again, make sure you put new thread sealant on the bolts that hold this water pump on. Garage temp update, it is 101. Probably some torque spec for those water pump bolts. You should look that up on the internet. Seriously though, you can check the link in the description to E-Manual Online. You actually get a discount code as well. They have manuals for all kinds of stuff, and you can see it's super applicable to what we're working on right now. It'll show with pictures and everything exactly what to do and the torque specs. So check it out when you're doing a project. If they've got your manual available, you can get a pretty good deal on it. Good news on this radiator, I learned something today. This is kind of a disposable drain plug, so this threads into a piece that snaps into the bottom of your radiator. Anyway, it's kind of like a safety device, if you will, to keep you from popping a head gasket. Probably it'd rather just pop that drain plug out of the radiator. So we should be able to pick those up. Water pump's in there and tight, the hoses are hooked up. Now I'm going to look at these brake situation. It doesn't look excellent, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Okay, that should probably move. This is a two-wheel drive. Now, I'm not a mechanic, but I play one on the internet, and I'm feeling like this is not an ideal situation. Well, I don't know. Probably would have been all right. A few more miles left in her. Got the business portion of the calipers removed, because those are actually like, I think 20 bucks a piece as a core when you buy the new one. So I want to make sure I have those with us when we exchange them. Also, I need to remember to get brake cleaner. I have brake fluid, a real nice steering wheel cover, because that steering wheel is sticky. Maybe some floor mats. Hope they have mossy oak. All right, hopefully it's nothing $400 won't fix. All right, I'd always recommend you guys look up the parts for your specific truck, but I usually get asked for part numbers. There's the brake pads, left and right rotor / hub assembly, left and right brake caliper assembly, which comes with these clippy doos, which I can't even remember seeing those on the other ones. By the way, we're probably gonna clean this up a little bit so those brake pads can slide on there. It came with new slider pins, great English. And I did not end up replacing the brake lines. They look like they're gonna be a lot of trouble up here at this fitting after they've been on there a while. And I don't wanna have to worry about reflaring this line and putting a new nut on there and stuff. So as long as the hose flows freely and works, that's gonna be good to go. I went ahead and had these drain overnight, and then we'll put fresh fluid up here in the master cylinder. We also have this little jobby, which should repair the leak in the radiator. So I'm gonna put that in, and then I'll put just distilled water in it for now and start it and run it and make sure we don't have any leaks, and then drain down and put antifreeze in it. It's just no reason in putting expensive antifreeze in here for a leak down test. All right, it's all topped up now. Thing drained down several times. It took almost 3 gallons. Of course, it's probably a larger radiator than it looks. Plus, I'm sure I had to put quite a bit in that engine. You'll notice this truck's elevated on the front, so that'll kind of help fill into the engine block some through the water pump. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start it. And one thing that you wanna do whenever you're filling a coolant system is run the heat, so the heater control valve will open and allow coolant to circulate through the heater core, which is behind the dash over here. Otherwise, you won't get the air out of that, and then you'll have the wrong amount of coolant. Definitely sounds better than it did with that other water pump. Oh, so smooth. Nice. And I'll keep an eye on that coolant level as it warms up. Sometimes the thermostat will open and it'll take on more. I'm super happy once I got this caliper off to see what good a shape these bearings were in. There's no end play. It rolls really smooth, doesn't make any noises, so we are gonna be in good shape on that front. Looks pretty gross though. Not sure what kind of grease this was. It sure did cake. There's a little tip for pulling these out on these cotter pins. You kind of get them bent down or broken or whatever they're gonna do there. You can put one of the tips of like needle nose in there. Well, that just pulled right out. But sometimes if it doesn't, you can just take your hammer and tap it on the side of the needle nose and it'll straighten that cotter pin out enough to get it out. This has got one of those little tin keeper nuts. And this stuff typically all gets reused. New cotter pins, of course, but this and the nut behind here, which usually they're hand tight. This one's got a little resistance. Most of these are 11-inch crescent. Yours may vary. You want to be careful to keep this washer and these bearings, if you're going to reuse the bearings. It certainly can get new. Go. It looks like these have been replaced, because that's a Timken bearing, and I'm sure that's not what the Chrysler Corporation put in these trucks when they were new. All right, your other bearing is going to be inside here, and the seal is going to keep it in there. Unless you're like me and you're strong as an acre of garlic. Situation like this, you certainly want to clean all this grease off and put fresh grease on, because that's a bit of an unknown, even though it did spin nice and pretty. Also clean this goop off of here as well. Put it back together in reverse order. I almost forgot to show you guys, replace these seals to put in your new hubs is this part number from Duralast. Done? Sorry to leave out a whole bunch of steps here, but man, the internet's a rough place, so if I show someone how I pack bearings, people lose their minds. Anyway, bearings are packed, new seals, installed. This is the old bracket. I ground this off some so it would have a smooth surface for those calipers, or for those brake pads to slide on both sides. And this is tightened up And now I've got the banjo bolts on these brake lines. So I'm gonna crack these bleeders loose, put a hose to them into these buckets, and then fill that reservoir up and just let it gravity bleed for a while, and then we'll pressure bleed it. Main thing, make sure your hose goes up before it goes down. That way you can't pump air back in it, and that works. Let's go check the other side. Yeah, nothing here yet. Of course, it's got farther to go, so probably the move would be tighten up that side so it creates a little more free-flowing towards the passenger side of the truck. All right, press down. Press down. Oh. All right, all kidding aside, I had this human come out here with longer legs and we bled these brakes. So that is good to go. I'm gonna bolt the front wheels and tires on here and put it on the ground, and we're gonna see what's up. Also, one way to kind of tell if your brake lines are okay, if you release the brake pedal and then you can spin these rotors, that means that it's not like coming apart on the inside and keeping pressure against the caliper. Just not necessarily expert advice, but it's a dead giveaway if you have the lining inside those brake hoses coming apart. All right, back on the ground, torque the lug nuts, just close the hood. And the thing we're looking for here, well, number one, do the brakes work? Number two, is it gonna overheat or stay cool? Now, I did let it run earlier long enough that it would have puked itself if there was a coolant leak. And yeah, I forgot to get the steering wheel cover and floor mats, so still on the list. Always put on your seatbelt, kids. Where's the keys? Oh, on the roof. Got it. He just purrs like a kitten, you know? Oh, yeah, it rolls immediately. Earlier, the brakes were keeping it from wanting to roll. You kind of had to give it a little RPM. My other truck. I guess I'm up to 4 now. The fuel gauge does not work, but the fuel light does. Oh, the brakes are pretty okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if it's worth re-bleeding them, because I'm not sure how good they're supposed to work in one of these, but they work, and they're not grinding. The engine sounds nice and smooth, shifts beautifully. I did check earlier, the AC blows cold, so that's pretty rad. Alright. 25-mile-an-hour stop. Holy crap. Yeah, it works great. I wish you had a little more power for a V8. Maybe that's just a Dodge thing. It's what I like to call a gutless wonder. 5.2 liter V8 in a lightweight truck like this. I mean, yeah, it's got 171,000 miles, but you get a 5.3 liter LS with 170,000 miles in a truck this size, forget about it. This sucker is minty fresh, I'll tell you right now. Smooth as can be, good stopping, cold air, rides like a dream. You know, they just don't make them like this anymore. So after giving it a quick detail on the inside and getting rid of those gross floor mats that were in here, we got one thing to fix. It looks like someone got a little too aggressive on this window switch, so I need to get this door panel off and repair that. The rest of the interior is in like new condition. Ordered off of Amazon these Motor Trend floor mats that are kind of like a universal cut to fit. So just depending on how much width you need, just find a seam and cut off the excess. Also, the steering wheel cover, which feels really, really nice. You guys can see that. Link will not be in the description because Amazon links expire, and then people get all mad a year or two from now when they're watching this video saying, I need a new link. So anyway, that's what it is. Lucky for us, this little panel just unsnaps. You want to release it from this side first. And then it comes out pretty easy. The unfortunate thing is, I guess good news and bad news, the clip that holds this in the bottom has been broken off, and it's been out in the sun so many years that all the plastic is very brittle. So that probably got broken, and I don't really know the best way to get it to attach. It does snap back in place, so as long as no one gets extremely aggressive, that's still gonna work. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe put some kind of a strap or something in here to hold it on. But I'll snap it back in place and snap it back in place. Yeah, I got that fine steering cover on that thing. It's probably the nicest part of this interior now. And also these block rubber mats, as soon as you touch them with a little bit of dust on your feet, it's gonna show, so I guess get over that. I couldn't find whatever color this is, of course, blue or gray or bluish gray or something. Anyway, that wraps up, as far as I'm concerned, the interior. I don't wanna get too overzealous cleaning this thing and armor all in it because, oh. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but I might put some grease on these hinges. Actually, right here too. Nice. I did drain down that distilled water that we had in the coolant system and replaced it with actual antifreeze, so we should be good there with its mixture to take care of this truck in summer and winter. Thankfully, and rather surprisingly, the tires held air. You guys remember that we had to air it up to get it on the trailer, this left front one specifically, and it's still right where we left it, so don't have to concern myself with whether or not these tires are going to go flat. It has been sitting over the last few weeks. That's how long it's taken to make this video. So I'm pretty stoked. Things are looking real nice. Next tiny little issue. I noticed when the truck was running, it had like a knocking and rattling sound from underneath, since we've now quieted all the engine noise from the water pump. And I was pretty sure it was the catalytic converter, and can confirm catalytic converter. Upon careful removal of said catalytic converter, parts just started falling out of this thing. Now, the idea is this material gets really hot due to the exhaust heating this housing up, and then when the air flows through here, it burns off unwanted pollutants to our Mother Earth, but sometimes it doesn't hold up all that well. As you can tell, these pieces not doing much flow, and a little bit of chunks of things left inside here, causing a lot of noise and poor exhaust flow. In my mind, that was gonna sound way cooler. We're gonna have to get a new one of these, and we'll just take it to an authorized person, exhaust shop, who is skilled and qualified by the EPA to do a proper install of emissions devices. All right, so fresh back from the exhaust shop. Thought you guys might want to hear what it sounds like. So do I. Afraid that new high flow catalytic converter might be loud, but it's not loud. It's not loud at all. Both windows are down. It's not, oh my gosh. It's so good. That's how you let them know. So we're on to our final step, going to the tag office, which I think some states you have to go to the DMV for this. We actually have tag offices. Another pro tip, probably the last one in this video, it's pro tip rich. Don't pay for all the license or tag stuff, especially since this one's so far out of date, I'm gonna have to pay some late fees. Don't do all that until you're 100% sure you're gonna have an operating vehicle that's worth spending the money on. Because if you can't, you're just gonna haul this thing off for scrap anyway, and it won't matter if the tag was up to date. This sucker's a wrap. I can get it listed for sale now after we've got all the pertinent things fixed on it. Don't forget to check that e-manual online. There's a link in the description for you guys. If you're working on something and you want the same manual that real techs use, not me, but like real techs, they're actually really nice manuals with good pictures and step-by-step instructions. So check them out. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next time.